All right, so it seems like with any new update, there's new problems, and today we're taking a look at the community's biggest issue with Cyberpunk 2077 after update 1.5. But also, we have an official word from CD Projekt Red straight to us, the fans, plus some really cool secrets have been discovered yet again throughout Night City. We're talking about stuff that they keep adding in from, guess what? The E3 2018 demonstration. You know, we're hoping that Cyberpunk can live up to that demonstration, but they keep adding in stuff from that 2018 demo, which is really, really cool. But first, we're going to start here with the official stuff. Check this out. It says, so far, Cyberpunk has been a long and winding road, and the fact you've stuck with us, kept in touch, and shared so many amazing stories and content with us warms our hearts. From across the whole of Red to you, thank you. So that's awesome to see, and I personally think they've done a great job with update 1.5. But let me tell you what, there's a big portion of this community that have really stuck by Cyberpunk despite the issues. They've really believed in CD Projekt Red and continue to do so, and I think that goes back to The Witcher 3 and things like that. And I really, really want to see them get back in shape here, because I don't want to see any other developers failing. It makes me sick to my stomach when I hear about developers failing so hard. But right now, Cyberpunk is in great shape, and I cannot wait to see what they do with the expansions. But that thank you, right now, it does carry a lot of weight because it's followed up by action. I want them to continue with that action. I want to see more free content for players that have really stuck by this game. I'm talking about free weapons, free cars, things like that. Let me know what you would like to see in particular when it comes to free DLC. All right, so Elon Musk actually replied about all of this, and he goes on to say, great game. So he thinks that, yes, Cyberpunk 2077 in its current state is a great game. Now, also, we're going to go on to talk about one of the biggest issues facing Cyberpunk after update 1.5. Overall, update 1.5 was a huge success, but it has presented some problems, especially this one right here. Check this out. This is by far the most discussed topic right now within the community. And it says here, thanks for the legendary items, Cybra. And it says max stats versus max style. And you can see right here, a lot of players are getting stuck with styles they do not want in Cyberpunk because those max stats are something that they're concerned about. Let me know if you're that way, of course, or if you just care about the style. But it would be cool to be able to have styles that are backed up by really cool stats. But right now, that is not the case in Cyberpunk. And you can't really invest into a style that you love while having those really good stats that you need. So they need to actually address this, and they have done some things previously, of course, in the Witcher franchise with the school gear sets and things like that. But we have some opinions about this. Check this out right here. It says here, personally, I go for fashion over function. A lot of people agreed with this one. Let me know if you are the same way, if you just do not care whatsoever about your stats, despite this being a full-blown RPG. But I personally think that stats do matter, considering we are talking about this being an RPG, especially when you get into higher difficulties and things like that. But we have this one right here, Carol, who says this, you can tell it's a game from CD Projekt Red because this happens in Witcher as well. Every time I go to slay a high-level monster, I put on that one sweater from Grandma because it has the best stats. So a lot of people get what is going on here with Cyberpunk. For some reason, this is just a theme with CD Projekt Red games. But here's this from let's see, how do you say this? White Chicks, who says this, the thing with Witcher 3 is that it had Witcher school sets. You couldn't change what they looked like, but at least you could wear a functional and thematic set. Cyberpunk, at the very least, should have something similar, in my opinion. Another thing, it's kind of difficult to go out and find sets in Cyberpunk because a lot of the time the rewards aren't projected to players. And again, you know, one game that always comes to my mind, even after playing games like Horizon Forbidden West, is Ghost of Tsushima really told you what you were going to be rewarded with. Yeah, sure, there were some secrets, but you knew you were getting good rewards and you knew exactly what those rewards were going to be. So if you want a new weapon, hey, or weapon upgrades, whatever, you can go after that. If you want new gear, you can clearly see what you were getting. I personally like that, so players aren't wasting their time and they're feeling like they're being rewarded at the end of like a story arc or something like that. Then we have that health guy or Heath guy who says this: there are a few sets of legendary gear that match, but they are only lootable in specific locations and there's no quests or map markers. So getting the whole set is a nightmare. And this is another problem that people are facing, is trying to find these sets right now is, I guess, a pain in the butt. And one of the answers to all of these problems is, guess what? Modders. The modders have been really busy creating some cool stuff. We have this one from let's see how you say this one. Jonas12, he says, heard of a mod where they make every clothing tied to the styles of Night City. You also get bonuses and crap based on the gear. This is what I thought CD Projekt Red was going to originally do with all the clothing options, but guess I was wrong. I also noticed in the mod that you can even disguise yourself. This is something I would love to see. Reminds me of that one story mission where you sneak into the Arasaka base and go through the guns blazing, or sneak in by riding a truck. Hell, I kept an Arasaka hazmat suit with me for crap and giggles, and I felt like CD Projekt Red probably had the concept of being able to disguise yourself, stuff like that, but cut it out due to time constraints or something. I don't know. Yeah, you know, a lot of open world games have that disguise function, but we're seeing less and less of that, in my opinion, in open world games, unless we're talking about like Hitman franchise. But I remember the Saboteur had some really cool stuff with that, where you can infiltrate the enemy bases. But yeah, I would love to see this feature, especially when it comes to expansions, being able to infiltrate an area in disguise and make sure you're not getting too close to enemy patrols, but you're making your way in a sneaky fashion. But yeah, check out that mod. Here it is right here. It's called Street Style Immersive Fashion System, and it's actually really cool because there's certain stats tied to certain types of fashion, I guess you would say, and it makes a lot of sense with what they've done here. But it would be neat to see something similar perhaps introduced into Cyberpunk 2077. But then again, I think a lot of you don't want certain gear pieces or clothing to be ruled by stats, so they got to be careful with how they work on a system. And that's why a lot of you guys want, hey, a transmog system. It seems like that's also being worked on by rumors and speculation and data miners discovering some cool stuff that CD Projekt Red will be bringing us a transmog system in the future. Now we got to talk about that E3 2018 demonstration. You know, I think the ultimate goal is to get back to that level of Cyberpunk 2077, if you know what I mean. A lot of people want to see that for Cyberpunk, especially when it comes to the police system, interactions with the crowds. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. But this is really cool. This was discovered here by, let's see the name, First Strawberry 187. He says CD Projekt Red added V's E3 head model in 1.5. It's type 22 for the eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and jaw. And you see how it actually really does mirror the E3 2018 presentation of the female V. I just assumed that they would put this in the game originally, but now it's back in the game and you can actually kind of copycat what they did with the E3 2018 female V, which is really, really cool to see. Now, this is awesome. Check this out right here. This one comes from, I don't even know how to say this name, XHXHDJSB. He says 2018 demo aerial takedown animation for Mantis Blade has been added into the game. Check it out. Here's the clip from him. This is so cool to see that they've added this into the game. This kind of thing actually really does get me very excited for the future of Cyberpunk. If they're honing in to the E3 2018 demonstration and they're trying to get things from that demonstration into the game, that gives me a lot of hope to see that they're tapping into that sort of thing. So hopefully they keep doing that and they keep improving the game based on the E3 2018 demonstration. All right, so let's keep going right here. We have this opinion, and I totally agree with this. It says Night City needs more activities. And if we read into this a little bit more, and this one comes from Elijah A, so I want to make it bigger here. It says patch 1.5 has brought me back to the game, and I'm loving it once again. The balancing of the perks and the combat makes the game slightly less easy and therefore makes it more engaging. However, there's still one major flaw that still remains and has to be fixed. There aren't any activities within Night City, not much to do. Pretty much all you're doing is completing missions, whether those are bigger ones like the main jobs or the smaller ones like the gigs. I like how they made the gigs feel more like reputation system, with the fixers giving you rewards after completing all their gigs, so you feel a greater sense of progression when doing them. But that isn't enough in my opinion. We need things beyond killing enemies and doing quests. We should get fun activities that resemble mini games. What confuses me is how there are some activities found within missions that are different than just shooting. However, we can't access those activities outside of those missions. For example, Wilson's firing range or Claire's street races. Why can't we do those things on our own outside of quests? Activities like this would help the world feel more alive too. The improved AI and shootout encounters is a nice step in making Night City feel more alive, but Night City would feel even more alive with completing fun minigames like activities throughout the city. It allows for chill time in between quests and further gets the players connected to the world. I agree with that one. Now, it says allow us to participate in street races outside of missions, allow us to compete in firing range competitions, allow us to fight in hand-to-hand fight clubs, allow us to play drinking games, give us more toy toys throughout the city for more variety, or even something super simple like allowing us to interact with the environment more like we can do in the apartments. I'm not a video game developer, but I feel like these things shouldn't be impossible to add, especially since they literally already exist in the game. They have the assets and coding for these activities already, but only in missions. The issue even goes for locations too. Many missions in the game have cool areas that get locked off after completing the mission they're featured in. It's such a missed opportunity. Activities like this play a major part in making video game cities feel like real ones, and a beautiful one like Night City would definitely benefit from them too. And I think honestly that this was most likely in their original plans to have a fully fleshed out city with tons of activities. I'm thinking like kind of like GTA 5 or GTA 4 in those regards, but time constraints and issues with the engine and maybe changes with development during, mid-development. I think those things probably hampered them being able to add everything in. Now, could we see mini games in the future for expansions? Yeah, sure, but I don't think it's priority. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys would like to see if you had a priority list, okay, for Cyberpunk 2077. What would it look like? Please let me know in the comments below because I'm really curious about that one. But you know what? Let's keep going. This is hilarious. It says, I found this on PS5 version of the game. I have to say, those are some nice brows, as you can see right here. Yeah, the game is still work in progress in some areas. So yeah, as you can see, they have some things that they need to focus on with Cyberpunk, but I wanted to showcase that one because I thought that was absolutely freaking hilarious. It's one of those bugs to me that's funny, Skyrim level funny, and it doesn't like break the game, but yeah, it just proves that the game was definitely in a state beforehand that it should have never been released. All right, now it's time to go over your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It can end up right here in a future video. So my most recent video was this one, big update discovered by data miners, new transmog system, and parkour updates. It's really interesting because they've had some cool parkour type movement updates to the game that they did not tell us about through the patch notes. And I cover that in that video. You can find out more about that by checking out that video. But anyway, hopefully they add even more parkour stuff because originally you were supposed to be able to wall run and do all sorts of cool parkour moves. You can even see, by the way, if you pay real close attention to some of the main missions, some leftover parkour level designs in there as well. Pay attention to that, especially with some of the boss battles. Now, Brennan Gum says this, I like the mod that has gear based on style. Oh yes, so yes, absolutely. And he says, and the styles given certain stat buffs and debuffs. Pretty cool mod. Would work good as official system. For those interested, the mod is called Street Style Immersive Fashion System. Yes. Maybe they can hire those modders. They seem to be really tapping into what the modders are creating because of the official apartment editions that we got. So you never know. RA Appreciation says, one of the sniper scopes has a night vision feature. It'd be cool if maybe it was a separate modification we can install on our optics or handheld binocular that we could use like the sniper scope. You'd think this stuff would already be in the game. Like, come on now. But yes, I agree. Puff Pass says, I want to see more life in Pacifica and cybernetic upgrades visible on the body when possible. Absolutely, that would be cool. And you know what would support that even more? A third-person view. I'm just saying that would be neat to see a working third-person view. Now, Lost Adventure says this right here. Everything that has been discovered sounds exciting. They could really have a revival of the game if these rumors are to be true. The fixer heist jobs would also benefit from the night vision as well. While I would love having a pet companion in the game, I agree that it most likely is a Chappie Easter egg. The transmog system would make sense since they are reworking the clothing and abilities a bit. Yeah, I was playing, since you're mentioning companions and things like that, I was playing Final Fantasy 15, I believe it is. And they have like companions throughout the entire experience, which I always think is really cool to have that type of like friendship when you're even exploring the world and the, you know, their quips and things like that. So personally, I think companions would be so neat to see in Cyberpunk down the road. This is something that could be added to the game through expansions, but I'm more thinking that's a sequel type thing if they do that, because they have to work on tons of AI. This is a complex city, so to have that work in this city is going to be quite an undertaking if they ever want to do it. But anyway, there it is. The latest happenings around Cyberpunk 2077. Remember, keep throwing those comments down below for sure. And yeah, actually, this is a comment right here. Till W says this: there's a more complex system in the game files. It just doesn't work yet. It will allow you to change your currently worn items appearance to another one in your inventory source on modder and also discover the system. Nice. So that's cool. So apparently he has discovered perhaps there's an even more in-depth transmog system in the game files being worked on. Dude, yeah. You know, if you see this video, write me out on Twitter, direct message me or whatever, and yeah, we can discuss it even further. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Take care.